All right, people, what's up, everyone, and welcome to another video. And it is time to talk about a little movie called Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which of course came out today, technically, but really it came out yesterday. Let's go around. It came out. Movies come out on Thursdays nowadays. Let's stop saying they come out Fridays. They come out Thursdays, especially in Marvel movies. They come out so early on Thursdays. Like some other movies, you can say, okay, well, they come out like at 6, 7 p.m. Dude. The earliest screening was 3 p.m. yesterday. People aren't even out of work by then. Like, what? What? Anyway, I saw it at 3 p.m. And I was excited for it. I was, because I really liked the first one. I thought it was great. And of course, sadly, Chadwick Boseman, of course, passed away. And I was wondering what they were going to do, how they were going to tribute him, and what they were going to do with the story. I've heard so much about Namor as a character in the comics. He's great. I really like Ryan Coogler, like the cast. The trailers were pretty good. I was excited for it. I was. And I'm not gonna tell you I didn't like it. I did enjoy it. Okay, this is gonna be a quick review because I don't really want to get too much into it. I'm sure me and some other people, we talk about the MCU all the time on like streams and shit. So if anybody cares, we do like a podcast every week. Blue Rupees. We'll probably talk about it next week. I don't want to go too much into it. This is gonna be more of just a quick review. Really, I say that I watch it's gonna be like 20 minutes long. But I did enjoy it. There's things I really like about it. One of those things is not the runtime. This movie is really long. And honestly, I don't mind long movies. I'm not one of those people that are like, oh, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, ugh. But most of the time, I'm fine with that. I don't care, as long as the movie's well paced. And for the most part, it's not poorly paced, but there are moments where I'm like, we don't really need this. This side plot could have been maybe even condensed, maybe even removed from the movie, and it could have made the pacing much, much better. And the whole point of the story being about how you deal with grief could have been a little bit more at the forefront. I get it, we need some humor, so let's have moments where people are being funny. The humor is definitely nowhere near as bad as previous MCU movies in the Phase 4. It's probably one of the best, besides maybe No Way Home. Because there's not that much, but when it's there, it's not like cringe. It's just like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess that was kind of funny. Mainly from M'Baku. M'Baku's the best. I fucking love M'Baku. He's like one of my favorite characters in the MCU, I think. and he's not in it that much, but whenever he is, it's great. I love him. So he was like one of my favorite characters from Black Panther 1, too. Even Infinity War, you see him like 2 times in Infinity War. I'm like, yeah, M'Baku. I love him. Anyway, I really like that actor too. But yeah, it's just there's moments here and there where they could cut and stuff. I don't want to spoil it, but there's a site with Riri. Everybody knows Riri. I cannot say her name. Riri Williams is in the movie. Everybody knows that. I feel like there's just some stuff they could have cut out of her story. I know some people be like, but why? Well, she has her own show coming, so it's just like. And it would have fixed the pacing here and there. I don't know. She was. I actually liked her. I like the actress, but it's just there's like too much stuff happening when it should have really focused on of course, the T'Challa story, which of course he passes away early in the movie. You don't even see him, which makes sense. But and the Namor story, and of course Shuri. Sorry, my computer's on. So yeah, I just think they could have cut some stuff out. But it didn't really bother me too much, but it was something that was like, okay, we can go on. Like, I've seen so many movies that drag on and on and on that this didn't feel that cumbersome. But there's a lot of stuff I really liked. I really liked the acting. I thought Letitia Wright was really good in it. I don't know if she can lead in the future for this franchise, if that's where they're going to go with. Because her character is fun. I like her character in the first movie. But she's a great side character. But now she's the lead. I'm not sure if... not that she's not a good enough actress. It's just like... I don't know if that character... I don't know. Like, I don't get the same feeling from her as I did with Chadwick Boseman, who's like, he was very commanding on screen. He didn't talk too much, but he was intimidating, and he could be heartfelt and warm at the same time. Like, all the stuff with him in Civil War, the best stuff with his characters in Civil War. And I love that. And again, Letitia Wright's great for this story especially. But I don't know. We'll see what they do. Because I'm sure this movie's gonna make a shit ton of money. Which doesn't surprise me. But she's really good. The rest of the cast is great. Angela Bassett, though, so good. So good. She was great in this as the Queen. She was awesome. So I highly, like, I'll speak very highly about her. Of the cast, of the entire cast, I think she nailed it. The rest of the cast is really good. The guy who played Namor, or Namor. He says Namor, but then every other character after that, I thought that was really funny. Every other character after that says Namor. So I was like, he said Namor, and then everybody's like, Namor. I'm like, that's not what he said. I mean, that's comic accurate. Namor, right? That's how you pronounce it, at least. That's what I've heard. I don't know if that's exactly true, but I'm pretty sure that's true. But he's good. I'm not gonna lie. I know it's good. It's good. This is gonna be offensive. There's times where I couldn't understand what he was saying. I'm sorry. There's times where I really didn't understand him. But for the most part, he did a really good job. He's a very good, like, facial actor. There's times where, that sounded weird, but, he's really good at emoting. So I give him that. He's really good in that, with that stuff. But there's times where I couldn't understand what he was saying. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Maybe it's just me being dumb, probably. But that's probably it. I'm the dumb one. There you go. Just save myself there. I was already called racist once. Let's not. Anyway, so I think that villain also maybe Namor, however you pronounce it, could have been maybe focused on a little bit more. Maybe cut some of the side plots down, and then give a little bit extra to him. Then the pacing wouldn't have felt so cumbersome at times, maybe. Like, we have the same length, but because his story is more fleshed out, it's not as noticeable. Because we go to his underwater city and stuff, and his whole plot is actually kind of intriguing, and you actually do understand why he does the things he does. But they don't focus on him enough, I don't think. And especially when it gets to the third act. The third act is like, we need to hurry it up. We're at 2.5 hours, bro. We need to end this. And it felt so abrupt. A little, maybe not so abrupt. It was abrupt. Just straight up borderline abrupt. Not very abrupt, not a little abrupt. It's just abrupt. That's not a thing you can really measure abrupt, but whatever. I felt like he could have been focused on a little bit more. If they made it the same length of the movie, 2 hours, 40-something minutes, but focus more on him and Letitia Wright's Shuri, and even their relationship, them like butting heads almost, then I think it would have worked better. Of course, the whole T'Challa stuff. I think the acting's great. I think the action is okay. I don't think it's amazing, but it's serviceable. There's a couple of decent ones. Mainly with Okoye, Dana Guerrera, I think that's her name, who's great. She's, of course, Michonne in Game of Thrones, Walking Dead. She was Michonne in Game of Thrones. That would have been a way different show if Michonne was it. That would have been amazing, though. But yeah, no, she's great in Walking Dead. She's great in pretty much everything I've seen her in. And she was in that Tupac movie, right? That came out? I never saw it, but I heard she was good in it. Yeah, she's great. She's great here. She always has been. And whenever she's in the action, there's always like a lot of spear weapons and stuff, which I always find fun as long as you film it well. And that stuff was good. But for the most part, all the other stuff, like some of the Ironheart action was there's like a whole scene that pretty much just kind of rips off Iron Man 1 where they go up in the sky and stuff. It wasn't great, I didn't think. Me personally, I didn't think it was great. But the action, it wasn't great. There was a couple of good ones, but then they were, like, I would say like 70% of it was like meh. I thought the same thing with Black Panther 1, though, to be fair. Like, the action was serviceable, but it wasn't great. And special effects are much improved. They didn't screw around this time and give it like the budget that it had, but didn't give the time to the VHS. What the fuck? Sorry, I'm a little messed up today. What am I trying to say? VFX. God damn. The VFX crew, they gave them enough time this time because Black Panther 1 had a big budget. People think it had a smaller budget because they didn't believe in it or something like that, but it had a big budget. They just didn't have enough time to make the special effects look really good. This time, for the most part, there's a couple of iffy green screen effects here and there, but for the most part, it looks great. Well, it looks very good. Let's not say great. There's times where it's like obvious, like whenever the Namor's men, like they're his I guess his crew or whatever, jumping out of the water, or they're doing like this Zack Snyder slow motion, like fast motion thing. It was very weird that there was like 5 scenes where it goes boo and it goes fast again. I was like, like when I'm watching Black Panther. I'm watching Black Adam again. They both have black in the title, and they both have speed up slow motion throughout the entire movie. Black Adam had way too much though. This 2 hour 40 minutes 5 times, that's better than Black Adam, which was 2 hours and had maybe like a dozen of those shots. It was crazy how much. Jeez, and that's a DC movie, so that makes a little bit more sense though, because got that Zack Snyder touch to it in some way, even though he had nothing to do with it. But it's a DC movie, so maybe they feel like, ooh, some people like that stuff, so let's do it here. But anyway, I don't mind it, but yeah, sometimes it's a little jarring. But yeah, the action's not great. The acting is great, but the action is not great, I don't think. They could have cut some of that stuff out or focused some of that other stuff that they focused on and replace it with like more of a Namor and even Shuri's story. And then you could have really had a great villain, where instead you just have a pretty good villain, better than most in the MCU. And they also leave it off where we could see more of it in the future, which is good. And yeah, I guess the big thing though in this movie is what they do with T'Challa's character, of course, Chadwick Boseman. And while I think, I can't speak for Chadwick Boseman, obviously, but I would assume Chadwick Boseman would have liked it if the character continued on in some way. I think the way they treat T'Challa's death is pretty good. I think it would have been better if he died maybe in combat. I mean, it would have sucked to see that, but I feel like it's better for him to go out protecting his country than what they did here. But the acting is so good that I don't think it really mattered. Like Shuri, Letitia Wright, nailed it, showing grief throughout the entire movie. And that stuff was, I didn't cry. I was expecting it, honestly. They had the Marvel logo, the intro, and it was just Chadwick Boseman. I knew we were going to do that. I didn't know they were going to just make it completely quiet, though. That was surprising. And even the ending, they kind of did a Furious 7 there, where very similar to Furious 7. Or I guess if you combine Furious 7 and the Fate of the Furious' endings combined together, that's kind of what you get in Black Panther Wakanda Forever at the end. And that's also including the post-credit scene. You'll understand. If you've seen those 2 movies and you've seen this movie, it's like a combined thing. So it's very emotional. It is, for sure. Like, I didn't cry, but I think they did that well. Even though I would have liked better if he maybe went out fighting someone, defending his country, besides just he gets an illness. We don't know what it is, and he just dies off screen. They could have easily had him in the suit. You didn't see him, obviously, but he's in the suit, and he died there. They don't even need to show it. They could have showed him fighting somebody, and then off screen it said, he died or something like that. I don't know. I think it would have been better if he went out fighting, but defending his country. But yeah. I think the acting kind of sells that moment, and it is a pretty affecting few moments whenever they come back to T'Challa. And I think that Letitia Wright does really good with that stuff, and of course Angela Bassett's great. But anyway, there you go. That's really it. I know this was a very all over the place review, but I just want to talk about it. I liked it a lot, but there's a lot of problems. I think pacing issues here and there. Mainly because they focus on things I wasn't particularly interested in that much, where they don't focus on certain things that I was interested in. They just didn't focus on too much, like Namor. The action was serviceable. Special effects for the most part were really good. It's a little too long, but still a good time. I know this is all over the place review, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time with Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I'd probably give it it's probably the best MCU Phase 4 movie besides No Way Home. I don't know what I'd give. Probably maybe 7.5. I give it a 7.5. I liked it. And maybe after thinking about it more and more, it might be an 8. But 7.5, I think I'm good with that. 7.5. I think it's better than most of the MCU stuff, period. Like it didn't shit the bed towards the end. I had a weakish third act, but it wasn't terrible. It just kind of abruptly ended. But when it abruptly ended, I didn't get annoyed at the way that it ended, I was just like, oh, that's it? Oh, shit. You know, like, there's some other things that I could talk about that I really didn't like the way it ended, because it's like, oh, whoa. You're just like, oh, we're just forgiving this character for all the horrible things they did. Oh, okay. No, because they did one good thing. Okay. Even though that good thing was her, oh, I'm sorry, I spoiled it. Them reversing what they did. Yeah, but the Darkhold, fuck that. Anyway, there you go. That's it. 7.5 out of 10.